Hello, my name is Clara Peterson. I am 14 years old and I live in a small town called Everbrook. Everbrook is pretty typical, with its cozy homes, friendly neighbors, and the local swimming pool where kids gather to escape the summer heat. I enjoy my time there, mostly floating on my back in the water, daydreaming about the future and hanging out with my friends. It is not always easy being a teenager. I have ambitions and dreams, but I also face the usual ups and downs of growing up. The local school can feel like a maze of social dynamics and insecurities, and sometimes it feels like the more I try to blend in, the more I stand out. I am not particularly popular or outgoing, but kindness has always been my guiding principle. I try to lift others up rather than put them down, especially the younger kids at the pool who merely want to enjoy themselves. And that summer day started innocently enough. I was sitting near the pool, observing the younger kids who were giggling and splashing about. Suddenly, I noticed two boys, probably around 10 years old, sitting at the top of the slide, exchanging devious grins. They were waiting for a little girl who looked to be about 2 or 3 years old to come up behind them. I could see the excitement in their eyes as they cheered each other on. Just as the child began to make her way to the slide, they jolted to a stop and blocked her way, laughing as she panicked. My heart sank. It made me feel sick to see them enjoying the pain they were causing. In that moment, I felt a storm of emotions inside me. I was furious, worried, and despairing for the helpless little girl behind them who had no idea what awaited her. I knew I should intervene, to shout at those boys or tell someone at the pool what they were doing, but I was paralyzed by shyness. The right thing to do was obvious, but I had always been the type to stand back and hold my tongue, afraid to confront bullies. Instead, I thought I would do something less direct but still warranted. I decided to position myself behind the boys, waiting for the opportunity to shield the little girl from their torment. I watched her bounce excitedly, oblivious to the horror that was about to unfold. The boys were fully invested in their plan, relishing the power they had to fright a small child just for their amusement. With each moment, their confidence seemed to grow, and they seemed to be lost in their own little world where inflicting fear was the best form of fun. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrived. As they slid down, I jumped into action. With a determined push, I thrust myself in front of the little girl just as they rounded the first curve of the slide. The impact was jarring. I could feel the force of my body crashing into theirs, but somehow, I managed to keep it from being too painful. Their eyes shifted from smug excitement to fright as they realized they had lost control. I acted furious and surprised, yelling at them for what they had done. Tears sprung from their eyes as they desperately apologized, realizing that they had gotten a taste of their own medicine. I could not help but feel a small sense of satisfaction seeing them panic. My anger and frustration had finally found an outlet. They were flailing in the water, trying to recover from the crash while I kept berating them, acting as if I was the injured one. I scolded them about how reckless they had been and how they had put everyone at risk, even their own safety. They were crying, and part of me felt guilty for that. Was I being too hard on them? I pushed that thought away. I wanted them to remember this moment, to think twice before bullying another innocent child. In the moments that followed, I could sense a shift. They scrambled away from the slide, their innocent joy washed away by the realization of what they had just experienced. As I stepped back, I overheard their sorrowful promises to each other. They vowed never to block someone on a slide again, discussing their disbelief over how quickly things had turned against them. It was almost poetic, a kind of lesson learned in the harshest way. As I watched them, I understood that sometimes karma has funny ways of manifesting itself. They had reveled in the chance to intimidate others, but now they had a real fear to reckon with. A part of me felt that they might become better people because of this experience. Maybe they would remember not only how powerful it felt when they bullied someone weaker, but also how it felt when they were the ones on the receiving end. With the sun starting to set over the rooftops of Everbrook, I took a deep breath, looking over the pool where laughter once echoed. Not far from where the boys had been sitting, the little girl was now back at the pool with her mother, blissfully unaware of the chaos that had just transpired. She laughed as she climbed into the water, a realm of forgetfulness and joy. I wondered if I could ever go back to feeling that carefree. Life would always present challenges, and some moments might feel unbearably heavy, but this experience taught me the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it feels intimidating. I returned to my friends, sharing the tale of the boys' mischief, and for the first time in a long while, I felt empowered. I had taken a stand, even if it was in a way that felt less confrontational than confronting bullies directly. I understood the narrative could shift, and sometimes making that choice could lead to unexpected consequences, like the boys swearing off their bullying ways. I went home that night, feeling accomplished and hopeful, for myself, for the little girl, and for those boys who might just become better people down the road. In the end, the story showed me that sometimes our choices lead to redemption, even in the most unexpected circumstances. The pool would always be there, filled with laughter, but now it held the promise of change too.